Did anyone ever play an Inscryption video game?
Thank you, Luke Carter, and why yes, I have. Inscryption is quite possibly the best game to come out of 2021, and it's a tabletop card game. The atmosphere that Inscryption builds is consistently terrifying yet intriguing. Inscryption constantly innovates and builds on traditional card game conventions in clever ways, all the while having an interesting plot that will keep you invested in the game from start to finish. Inscryption is a simple game that's hard to master. It throws you into the gameplay the second you create your new save file. Or, continue the existing save file? You play cards which attack at the end of your turn. Any damage done to the opponent tips the scales in your favor, and your cards will attack any enemies that lie in front of them. Inscryption's main mechanic, though, is sacrificing. Each card you play can and will be sacrificed, allowing you to earn blood and play stronger cards. Some cards have unique mechanics, but as for the real rules on how the game works, that's all. Inscryption's gameplay is simple and intuitive, but also doesn't shy away from becoming complex at times. The first act of the game is played through in an almost roguelite format. Here, you're introduced to a mysterious figure who runs your campaign through a dark forest. This person is obscured by shadow, so you'll only ever see one part of them, their orange, glowing eyes. Throughout the first campaign, you'll encounter different characters defined by the mask the Game Master wears. The characters all have an off-putting demeanor about them, and will both aid and attack you in your campaign. You play cards to get further and further through the forest, lose twice in one stage, and you die, captured by the camera the shadowed figure holds. Say cheese. Except you don't really die. Instead, your photo has been turned into a playing card that the next iteration of you can find and use in their run. This is honestly a really great mechanic that can lead to some pretty crazy card combos. Each time you lose a run, you're given a couple cards that you can take traits from. You can take the cost, stats, and abilities from other cards that you have and put them into one ultra powerful card. Or, if you're unlucky, it's kind of just death fodder. This is a really clever way of summing up your failed run, as you can directly influence future runs with the attributes you've earned in your recent one. Don't be fooled though, because Inscryption is not a roguelite. When playing through your first few rounds, you'll encounter the Stoke card, a card that, for a reason yet unrevealed, is able to speak to you, the player. The Stoat serves as a way of advancing the story by instructing you how to defeat the Game Master, guiding you with hints to the many puzzles that span the room you play in. You can, of course, explore this room, although it doesn't give you full FPS-like control, rather a limited 90-degree turn control system, almost as if you're a piece on a puzzle board. Solving the puzzles can reveal new cards and items, and it's a really good way to spend your time in between intense card-playing gameplay. Each area you battle through brings opportunities to collect new cards, upgrade existing ones, or even combine them through some arguably painful-looking modifications. You also have bosses at the end of each area, which, like NPCs such as a trader or carver, wear a worn-down wooden mask. These bosses are a fantastic way of shaking up the gameplay, as they all introduce new mechanics that keep you on the edge of your seat. After battling 3 bosses, your campaign character stumbles across a wood cabin, not unlike the one you're currently in, and after a long journey, you finally face the man in the shadows. There is so much to do in this game. The card play campaign action and freakishly graphic tabletop visuals are mesmerizing. The pure craft that has gone into creating an experience like this is astonishing, which is why it may come off as sort of a surprise when you find out that this isn't even the half of it. That's right. Upon beating Leshy, the final boss of the first act and the man in the shadows, you unlock the ability to create a new save file. Inscryption does not start off with you creating a new save file, rather it starts with you opening an existing one where Leshy has total and utter control over your reality. So when you override that save file with a new one, well, let's just say Inscryption is a simple game that's hard to master. It throws you into the gameplay the second you create your new save file. You're immediately introduced to the 4 masters of cards, the Scribes. The 4 Scribes consist of Grimora, Scribe of the Dead, PO3, Scribe of Technology, Magnificus, Scribe of Magicks, and lastly, Leshy, Scribe of Beasts. When these 4 scribes came to our world, they used their otherworldly instruments to create cards, each of them armed with a different form of inscription. They reigned supreme over the world until one day a challenger sought them out. You are the challenger. So, do you have what it takes to become the next scribe? Okay, that just happened. So yeah, turns out Inscryption is a little more than you might have thought. Inscryption is not the horror game I've been playing for the last 6 hours. In fact, it isn't a horror game at all. Inscryption is just this simple and cheerful pixelated card game, and whatever we just went through, that was on a later save file where things took a turn for the worst. What on earth happened? If I'm gonna be honest, when I found this out, I was dumbfounded. When introduced to the 4 scribes, it's like something just clicked in my head, and I realized that the Stoke card that was guiding me through all of Act 1 was actually PO3, the Scribe of Technology. The stink bug was Grimora, and the wolf Magnificus. The game just took a massive turn I did not see coming, and I've gotta say, this is probably one of the best plot twists I've ever seen in a game. The world is now a blank slate, so what else to do except explore the new map? When you re-enter the forest, it's a perfect recreation of the cabin in the first act, complete with bloodstains and all. It's really interesting seeing this side to the cabin, as it allows you to explore it in an environment where Leshy isn't a corrupt maniacal god. Talking around, you can find the 3 mini-bosses of the forest which you ran into in the first act, and must duel all 3 before you can fight Leshy. This is really nice because it contextualizes these 3 bosses not as just wooden masks, but as people in this archaic video game world. They are, however, oddly stripped of their abilities, but I think that's more of a testament to what Leshy's power is able to do when he was in control. It's really neat to see a demake version of the forest, as well as areas that other scribes inhabit. Turns out, that whole sacrifice in order to play stronger cards mechanic, yeah, that only applies to cards you get from the forest. Each area has different cards with different playstyles about them. Magnificus's cards, for example, require a gem of a certain type to be on screen in order to be powered, while Grimora's need bones to be played, and PO3's need energy. Opening the player up to 3 new playstyles all of a sudden is overwhelming, but you'll be able to catch on pretty quickly, and in no time we'll have decks with cards from each area. The 4 main layers of the game are all pretty diverse, and require a fair bit of puzzle solving in order to fight its respective scribe. I really love the atmosphere the game's got going on here, and it feels like a complete tonal shift from the dark and gory start of the game. This entire world has a really cute story and art style which feels straight out of a game like Pokemon, so this only really leaves one question. If this is what the save file looked like when it was first created, how on earth did it become whatever that first act was? Well, to put it simply, there's something wrong with Inscryption's code, and you yourself are able to experience it. A glitch of sorts can be fished up by the Dredger NPC, and if exploited can be used to alter the very system files of Inscryption. In the last iteration of the save file, it seems Leshy managed to get his hands on the glitch, but this time around, after battling and defeating all 4 scribes, the bug is exploited. You wake up and find yourself in a familiar cabin, only this time clad with steel. The game is no longer ruled by Leshy, but instead PO3, the stoat in the first chapter and computer in the second, is in charge. You're quite literally tied to a table, so with nowhere else to go, you listen to PO3 and start a new campaign, the campaign of Bottopia. It's nice to see what the board controlled by another scribe looks like, but I do feel in part that this is the weakest point of the game. The samey colors of Bottopia, mixed with the downgraded gameplay from the full game, leads to a bit of a boring experience, at least when you're just exploring the overworld. I'll avoid talking much about this campaign to avoid spoilers, but what I do need to say is that the boss fights are at their best in the third act. PO3, like Leshy, will mask his face to play the other bosses, only this time their abilities are more creative than ever. The best boss battles of the game are in this part. One boss requires you to search your computer, dealing more damage based on how much storage a chosen file uses. Another allows you to create the rules of the game as you go, even letting you create rules that catch the boss in a feedback loop. And another downloads your Steam friends and makes you play against them as cards. This is incredible game design that's made for some of the best moments in the entire game. This creativity is what I wanted going into Inscryption. Daniel Mullins is known for doing these smart interactions with the real world in his games, and Inscryption did not disappoint. Not only does it have cool interactivity with your computer, a la Pony Island, another one of his games, but it also has a compelling B-plot in a live-action ARG format. Let me preface what I'm about to say by stating that I do not enjoy ARGs. I generally think they're a pretty goofy way of combining the digital world and the real world, and are often very convoluted and uninteresting in my opinion. With that out of the way, I think Inscryption handled its ARG side plot really well, and was surprisingly interesting for even those who don't typically enjoy the format. When you create your new save file at the end of Act 1, you're booted to a camera's homepage, where you're given full access to all of Luke Carter's camera files. Through the files, you find 3 things out about him. 1. He found a copy of Inscryption buried in a nearby forest. 2. He's been the one playing this whole time, so all of the gameplay, yeah, that's actually Luke Carter. And 3. He's an epic family-friendly YouTuber. Aw yeah.
This is the largest slice of pizza in the entire world!
So yes, technically the main character of this game is, in fact, a YouTuber, so that's great. No, but I do think that writing Luke Carter as a YouTuber is kind of the best they could have handled it, because a lot of the time the acting and these sort of things can feel kind of goofy, so at least it provides an explanation as to why he's talking to the camera or, you know, saying random comments, because if you're just gonna make it into a YouTube video, I guess that makes sense. But I think by writing him as a YouTuber, as silly as the concept is, works pretty well, as it allows him to explain things to the player as if they were, I don't know, a YouTube audience. Anyways, Luke Carter stumbles across Inscryption during one of his vintage playing card openings, where he unpacks a note with coordinates in it. Adamant to see where they go, Luke goes to the middle of the woods and digs up a little-known game called Inscryption. A pretty neat side plot in my opinion. It provides some extra substance to the main narrative of the game, but it doesn't really interfere, which I appreciate. And in later parts where it does mesh with the game world a little, the writing is generally pretty solid, and the acting is for the most part believable. Good job, Luke Carter. I give you 4 blue mages out of 5. Inscryption is a game I really did not expect to like as much as I did. When I first heard about it, I wasn't really interested in the concept, but after seeing it was made by Daniel Mullins, the developer of one of my favorite puzzle games, Pony Island, I knew I had to play it. And now that I have, I can definitely say that Inscryption has totally surpassed my expectations. Inscryption is an amazing card game and an even better puzzle game. Its tense atmosphere and hidden messages are some of the most intriguing I've ever seen in a video game. Inscryption has to be my favorite game of 2021, so if you haven't already, go check it out. Experience the story firsthand. And with that said and done, thank you for watching. Also, if you like review content, make sure to subscribe.